Hey, what's going on, everybody? Just real quick, I just recently picked up the two times teleconverter for the Fuji system. I kind of wanted the 1.4, but I did some swippy swapping, and all they had was the two times teleconverter available used. I didn't want to buy it new because I didn't really know if I was going to use it or not, or how well it was going to work. Because a lot of people say teleconverters are garbage, and I've used one before, and it wasn't that impressive. It seems like it does affect image quality a little bit for sure. But with today's AI technology in all these different programs out there, all this software that can sharpen things up, it might actually work. But anyway, so I got the two times telly, and this is a very crude test. I'm going to take this out in the field and try it out in the field. And I wanted to do it with the XH2 because obviously we've had all these discussions about image quality and sharpness, and I've had problems myself with the 50 to 140. And I actually put this on the 50 to 140 is the only lens I have that right now that can accept any teleconverter. Obviously, you can use them with the 70 to 300 and the 100 to 400. I don't have either one of those lenses. I'm thinking seriously about the 70 to 300 just because of the size and weight. But the 100 to 400 is it's just a heavy lens. The 50 to 140 is a heavy lens for what it is. So I wanted to go in here. Now, what I did was, we're at ISO 12,800. You can see right here. So very high ISO. And yeah, these are JPEGs. These are straight out of camera JPEGs that I had high ISO noise reduction applied. I believe it was +3. I took the sharpening down to 0 because if you remember right on one of my previous videos, I had set the sharpness to +2 when I was shooting basketball. So I took sharpness down to 0. I've got noise reduction at +3. I left that alone. And these are the results that I got. This image here is actually just the 50 to 140, no teleconverter whatsoever. But I'm at f5.6. So yeah, f5.6, 98.2 millimeters, and 1/200th of a second, and 12,800 ISO. Straight out of camera. There's just a little bit of artifacting probably because of the noise reduction, but there's no noise. I mean, it took care of the noise quite well, even in the dark. This is out of focus, so it's not supposed to be. It's going to look blobby. But if you look at the writing, look how sharp the writing is. So we're at f5.6, and it's sharp. I mean, that's just sharp. No matter what you say or think or whatever, that is absolutely 100% sharp. And we are zoomed in. Let's go into 100%. So 100%, it's sharp. You see the gray dots on the box. If you guys, anybody that's owned, this box is for a Sony ZV-1, which I'm getting rid of that. But if you've owned one of those or any other Sony boxes, they got these little gray dots on there, so you can see the gray dots. It's just sharp. It's nice. The next image here, this is with the two times teleconverter. Now, if you know how teleconverters work, the 50 to 140 is a constant aperture lens. 2.8 is the wide open end of that spectrum. When you slap that two times teleconverter, that makes it an f5.6 all the way throughout. So you lose your light gathering. You lose that 2.8, you go to 5.6. Now that sucks on the low end, but when you've got the two times teleconverter, you've got 420. It turns the 50 to 140 into a full frame equivalent, I believe, of about 420, 425, somewhere in that range. So a 420 at 5.6 isn't horrible. It's not bad. But and think about the 100 to 400. You'd turn it into a 200 to 800. So, but you're also going to have your aperture is going to be gigantic. It's going to be, like crazy. But as you can see here, it is blurry, a little bit blurry. And I don't know if I could fix any of it. I might be able to sharpen it up. Let's bump exposure just a tad, and I think we could do texture. I guess texture, clarity.
Now, when you're zoomed out, it doesn't look bad. It looks okay. But when you're zoomed in, you can see all the artifacts. Let's see here. Let's go down to noise reduction. See if we can get rid of some of the artifacting. It does, but it blurs. It's starting to blur the image. You can see that for yourself. And we're going to sharpening a little. We'll do some sharpening up to, we'll start at 50. And then we're going to, we've already got masking up there. So we've got the masking about as, that's about as good as we're going to get with the masking. So masking and then detail. You can start to see the wormy look, whatever. Bring that, leave that right about there. We're going to leave the radius at 0.8. And it's about as good as I'm going to get it in Lightroom. Now, we can argue about the capture one thing, but we're not going to. We're not going to argue about that at all. But there's no noise. I mean, the noise reduction did its job, but it's just not a very good image. So what I did was I took the image into Sharpen AI, and here's the image after Sharpen AI. It's a little too sharp. It's like a little bit too much, but it sharpened up. I mean, it's not as good as the first image. First image is fine without the teleconverter. But here's with the teleconverter, after being sharpened, and of course I could, I need to boost the exposure a little bit to match that. And then I don't know if contrast might help a little bit, because you still got artifacts and stuff in there from the over sharpening. It's just over sharpened. You could actually, did I do that already? Yeah, I did. So what I did was I actually brought, what I wanted to do was kind of bring sharpening down to see if it would help. But all it does, it starts to blur the image. Because I was thinking, well, maybe I could bring the sharpening down a little bit to help, but it doesn't help. It just doesn't. So it is what it is there. But anyway, I mean, when you look at it zoomed out, it actually looks just as good as the other image without the teleconverter. So I think we can make these work. If you get these, if you can get a chance to get one of these 2x teleconverters, you could probably make this work. You're going to have to probably take it through a sharpening AI software, but I mean, we're zoomed into 100%. Most people aren't looking at images zoomed into 100%. I mean, it's not bad. There's without the teleconverter. Very sharp. 50 to 140 on the XH2. So the 42 meg or 40 megapixels is doing just fine. But we're at f5.6. Now, the thing about it is this image is wide open because of the teleconverter. It is also 5.6, but it's different. It would be like me doing this image at 2.8. So if I bump this up a stop, or this one, if I bump this up a stop, so if I went up to, what would be the next one, 6.3 or whatever it is, I bet if I did that, it would sharpen the image up a little bit. So basically, because this is wide open, but it's f5.6 because it's a 2x teleconverter. This one is f2.8, or no, f5.6. I'm getting myself confused. This one is f5.6 bumped from 2.8 without the teleconverter. So apparently the lens is pretty sharp as you stop down. But from other YouTubers I've been watching here lately, you can't bump the aperture too much. You can't go up in aperture too much on the 40 megapixel sensor because it will actually start to degrade the image. I need to do more testing on this. I'll do more testing out in the field, maybe go to the zoo and take some pictures of the animals, and maybe get out to a baseball, softball game at the college down here and do it. I've been sick lately, so I haven't been able to get out. I was going to get out and shoot this weekend with the teleconverter, but I just wasn't able to. So anyway, there you go. If you've been on the fence about getting a teleconverter, yeah, you'll probably have to sharpen it up in Sharpen AI or whatever AI choice program you have, but it'll work, and you can get get good images out of it. You're just going to have to work a little harder. Or just buy the 100 to 400 and be done with it. It's up to you. I just kind of wanted to get it to see what it would do. And there you have it. It works. You just have to work a little harder to make it work, I guess. Later.